Hey guys, this is Haley with Domestic Goddess Designs, and this is my tutorial for glitter epoxy crafting scissors and trauma shears. I wanted to do both just so you can see some variety. Now let's get in and have some fun. We're starting off with some scissors I got off of Amazon that I will link in the description box below, but these trauma shears are really neat. There's a flathead screwdriver on the end, the middle is an oxygen tank key, and the other end is for unscrewing tough IV clamps. I'm going to start off by taping them because we're going to be sanding first and I don't want to accidentally rough up any of the metal part. And then I'm going to be taping the entire thing because right after we're going to be spray painting and I don't want to get any spray paint on the metal either. I'm trying to get as close to the plastic part as I can without covering any of the handle up. I'm sanding these with a medium sanding block. I'm not trying to just destroy the handle, but I'm just trying to rough it up enough where it gives the spray paint and epoxy something just to kind of grip onto. Don't forget to sand the inside of the handle as well. Now that they're good and sanded, I'm going to clean with some 91% rubbing alcohol and get them ready to spray paint. For the trauma shears, I spray painted Rustoleum Harvest Grape, and I'm going to be using Peachy Olive Glitter Hopeless Romantic. For the crafting scissors, I'm spray painting Rustoleum Wildflower Blue, and I'm going to be using Peachy Olive Glitter's Hollywood Handshake. You want to do short bursts of the spray paint. Don't saturate it or else you'll get a bunch of drips, but we're going to be covering with glitter anyway, so if you get drips, don't think that you've really messed up. You haven't. Once my spray paint is completely dry, I'm going to untape both pairs of scissors. I only showed one because this took a frustratingly long time to untape these scissors and I didn't feel like you guys wanted to watch me do it to both, so you get the gist of how I untaped the blue pair. We're going to be using the epoxy method to apply the glitter. Just like in a cup, you'll use the smallest amount of epoxy that you can to cover the scissors for the glitter. I don't tape the scissors off before I glitter. You're absolutely welcome to, I just never have. That's not my method of doing things. I like to make things maybe more complicated for myself, maybe. I just never have, so I didn't do it with these. I put a little bit of epoxy onto my nail and I just get right up against the metal without actually getting on the metal. I like to live life dangerously. I don't know, I just don't ever do it. But you're welcome to, and I encourage you to. It probably gives you a much more crisp line. Okay, going in with my Hollywood Handshake, I am covering the crafting scissors with it, making sure to get inside, on top, around the middle. Really go 360 all around your scissors to make sure that you've glittered everywhere, because there's a lot of different sides to this, so sometimes you end up missing a spot. I like to use a cup holder and I put my scissors in it and I just let it to where they sit straight up, and that's the way that they dry, so it works out really well for me. Going in with some Hopeless Romantic on our trauma shears. Following the same thing, just going all around, making sure we don't miss any spots on this. You have no idea how easy it is to miss a spot on this part. Once the epoxies dry about 3 or 4 hours or so, I'm going to get a paintbrush and just kind of brush off any of that excess glitter that's on there. You can also take a pair of tweezers and kind of flick off any stubborn glitter that's not quite coming off. Don't scrape on the metal though, because you don't want to damage it. Just very lightly flick the glitter off. It should come off pretty easily. We're about to do our first layer of epoxy on these, so I was just trying to clean the edges up and make sure they're nice, crisp, clean lines before we do our first coat. The first coat of epoxy, I'm going to do a kind of a light coat. Mainly I'm just dabbing over the glitter. I just want to seal the glitter in. I don't really want to rough any part up or mess anything up of the glitter. So I'm just kind of dabbing it on the middle and the outside. You don't want to over epoxy on any of these steps. Don't put a whole lot of epoxy. I don't put flood coats. The epoxy tends to kind of pool in certain areas, and then you get areas that have a really thick layer of epoxy on them and areas that you have a really thin layer, and they look really uneven. So I try to do lighter coats of epoxy, smaller layers. And you can see I attach the scissors to my turner just with a wide rubber band. It just slides right under, it holds the scissors great. I didn't buy any special attachment for, putting these on my turner, just a wide rubber band. That's actually how I attach my pens onto my turner as well, just a wide rubber band. Again, I'm using my nail to just kind of dab over the glitter by the metal. I'm not putting a whole lot of epoxy there. I'm just trying to get enough that it's going to adhere that glitter down. I've probably got about 2 mils of epoxy on both of those scissors. About 3 or 4 hours later, once our epoxy is set, I'm going to go in with my first real coat of epoxy. Using my nail, I'm just kind of going across just the way I applied the glitter the first time. I use my nail and I go right up across that line of metal. I don't really try to get it on the metal just yet. I'm just getting enough that it coats it on. Doing the same thing with my crafting scissors. The crafting scissors I probably used about 4 mils of epoxy on, and the other one, the trauma shears, I used probably about 2 mils. No flood coats, just nice, light, even layers. And don't forget to pop your bubbles. Going in for a third layer of epoxy. Because I don't do very thick layers, you do end up needing a couple extra layers of epoxy, more than you would need on a cup. Again, going right around that metal part. And like I said before, if you want to tape this off every single time, you are absolutely welcome to do it. Once the epoxy cured about 8 to 12 hours and it's fully dry, we can go in and do the only sanding we ended up needing to do on these scissors. We used a finer cut glitter, so there's really not a whole lot of rough edges on these. And I'm actually sanding them pretty lightly. The trauma shear handles are a little bit more block cut, so I had to do more sanding on those, and I even had to sand the inside of the handle. But even that, it wasn't very much, and I didn't sand very hard. Once we're finished sanding, I'm going to clean this off with some 91% alcohol and get ready to do our decals. We're in Cricut Design Space, and I've decided to do a leopard print on my trauma shears. I got the design just from my Cricut subscription. Type in leopard, search for it, scroll down just a little bit, and you'll see it. I'm going to add it into my design and resize it to what I need. I didn't really know exactly what sizes I needed it, so I did two. I did 2 inches and one that was 2.5 inches. That way I'd get a wide variety of leopard print sizes for my trauma shears. For the crafting scissors, I decided to put Craft Queen. This font is Star Bright from Creative Fabrica. I'm going to link it down in the description box below. The cute little crown I also got from my subscription to Cricut. I want to do an offset just so you can see my words better on the scissors. I did it 0.5, and I offset both of the words separately so that they wouldn't be stuck together, because I'm going to be putting them on different parts of the handle. I also have not welded the word craft together yet, or the word queen together yet. When you weld them together before you offset them in Cricut, it does kind of some weird things. You don't get the middle of the A cut out, or like the bottom of the F cut out on craft. It would just be completely offset behind it instead of you getting that peekaboo effect. So I waited until after I resized it to weld them together. The word craft, I measured on the handle, and it was 0.75 was the max that I could do there, so that's what I measured that out. And queen was 0.45 inches, so that was what I ended up doing that together. I'm going to delete this because that was just to show you what I was doing, but here I've got my leopard print and my craft queen and the offset, and I'm going to go over and just cut it out on our machine and get ready to decal. I'm starting off with my crafting scissors, and I'm going to look for an area that's got the height and the width to support a decal there. You really have to get kind of creative with this part on where you want to put something. I chose to place my craft on the top part of my handle and the queen on the bottom part. For the trauma shears, I wanted to do leopard print. Because of the shape of the handle, I ended up hand placing most of the leopard spots, which was kind of tedious, but it ended up looking really pretty. It definitely took me a minute. I've got some Quick Coat by Counterculture DIY, and I'm going to dab that over the decals. I don't know what it is about that textured vinyl, but it likes to be so extra and lift whenever you put it under epoxy, and I don't feel like dealing with it being a jerk, so I'm just going to go ahead and seal it down so I don't have to worry about it. Our Quick Coat is dry, so now we're going in for some epoxy. We've only got a couple of layers to do over these decals, so this is where I'm going to create the really good seal around our handle. So instead of just going right up against the metal, I'm actually going to be putting some epoxy on the metal. I also put a little bit of a thicker coat of epoxy on this. So on this one, I probably put about 4 mils, maybe 5. And on the trauma shears, I put 3, maybe 4 mils of epoxy on it. Because we put the Quick Coat on, our decals are sealed down and they're not even moving or budging an inch, which I'm so thankful for. Now we're going in with our very final layer of epoxy. Just like the previous ones, this is not a big thick layer. It's a nice thin layer of epoxy. We don't want any pooling or anything crazy to happen on our final layer. I'm taking my fingernail and I'm going right up against the metal, just like before, to create that good seal with our epoxy. I used maybe 2 to 3 milliliters on our trauma shears and 3 to 4 milliliters of epoxy on the crafting scissors. And don't forget to pop those bubbles. Y'all, check out how beautiful these turned out. The shine is gorgeous, the glitter is gorgeous. I am loving everything about these scissors. They were so much fun to make. I really enjoyed making this tutorial for you. If you guys liked it, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on this video, share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and you guys have a great rest of your day.